We've just done a study on how much policy actors trust the media, and the trust is very low. And that is going to be partly because of incomplete or incorrect reporting. It's partly the language and the comprehension of the journalist. So in my theory of change, as a researcher who is trying to get my research into policy, I may well have identified that policy actors listen to the radio on their way to work. Therefore, I would like to get my research onto the radio in order for that policy actor to become more aware of my research. But if the mechanism of change, the causal mechanism between me going and having an interview with a journalist and it turning into a radio program is faulty, then my theory of change has got weaknesses in it. And it may be that your other program description, where you're strengthening the capacities of journalists to understand scientific research or evidence, then comes into play, because you're strengthening one bit of a theory of change. On the other hand, if I believe that journalists might not report my research accurately, then I have to ask myself the question, in my theory of change, are there other paths and routes on this landscape for getting my research in front of the policymaker in an engaging way?
I think the kind of media communications side is a tiny subset of getting research into policy. So yeah, they are linked, but the kind of research, who's involved in the governance of the research, the timing of the research, all these things are probably at least as important as how you're communicating once it's done. One of the problems with people thinking about research and theories of change is that they tend to think that that's what you do once the research is finished, and that you then have to just communicate it really well, and actually you've got to design it in order to have influence, and that's a very, very different process. So I think I'm worried if this gets reduced down to better communications, because actually it's more fundamental than that.